We have a lot of winter weather showing up across the Bluegrass State, not only out there right now, but as we roll into your Valentine's Day weekend. We'll track what's on the horizon coming up.
And I don't believe he would hurt my children.
But police say a Madison County woman's boyfriend abused her 2 children by using an electric cattle prod.
WKYT investigates. Prosecutors are asking Kentucky coroners for help in preventing drug overdose deaths. Many coroners have concerns with the request.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 6.
Good evening. You can feel it. Colder temperatures, gusty winds, parts of Kentucky even seeing some snow. An Arctic blast has moved right into the bluegrass.
And this is the first of what could be multiple rounds of wintry weather in the coming days. We begin tonight with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey, who shows us what he's tracking on the First Alert Defender.
Yeah, snow shower squalls have been on and off for most of the area today, and it's those northwesterly winds really cutting right through us if we're outside this evening. Wind chill numbers down into the single digits in some cases right now. Feels like it is 9 degrees in Lexington and Covington, and it's the wind chill to dress for. Yes, your car thermometer is going to read something different, but your body is going to tell you it's responding to whatever that wind chill is. That's the combination of the gusty winds and the actual thermometer that's down to 22 degrees. Still some light snow showers falling across the Lexington area on that northwesterly wind. It has been a busy day for Live First Alert Defender with those snow showers and squalls lining up from northwest to southeast, starting to see a little decrease now in the overall action on Defender. Into the Lexington Metro, some spotty light snow showers and flurries out there. A little increase, though, on the east side of Richmond into the eastern part of Madison County. Chances are right now it is coming down at a pretty good clip here, not too far away from the Lake Reba area, Madison Central High School, and right on the campus of Eastern Kentucky University. Speaking of Eastern Kentucky, we take you down the Mountain Parkway corridor toward the Hal Rogers corridor. That's where we're seeing the bulk of the snow showers as everything again comes in on a strong northwesterly wind flow. If you're out and about this evening, it's a quick drop into the mid-teens, but guys, wind chills show up into the single digits. When I come back in a bit, we're going to track another bigger blast of Arctic air for your Valentine's Day with the hour-by-hour forecast in 10 minutes.
We didn't see much accumulation in Lexington from the snow today, but parts of southern and eastern Kentucky picked up enough to close some schools. Some people in Jackson County were dealing with snow-covered roads, and the higher the elevation, the more snow you saw.
Places, you know, they'll be from 1.5 inches down to a 1/2 inch, you know, just kind of hits in different spots. You'll run into more.
Road crews in Jackson County tell us they are ready to battle any new snow that might come tonight. And for updated closings, delays, and weather information, go to our website, WKYT.com. She calls the accusations against him lies. Tonight, a Madison County mother is defending her boyfriend, who's accused of using an electric cattle prod to punish her children.
As we first told you yesterday here at 6, Richmond police charged 54-year-old Silas Powell with criminal abuse. Today we learned more about the investigation, and our Sam Smith talked to the children's mother. It's our top story at 6.
And I don't believe he would hurt my children.
Carol Powell and Silas Powell are not married. They're engaged, though, and have been dating for a year. She says in that time he has been nothing but kind to her 2 children.
I don't believe in my heart he did that. And I still don't believe he did that.
A school resource officer was notified of the alleged abuse. Police say Silas abused her kids with an electric cattle prod that looks something like this. It's a device that's meant to help move cattle. Silas works on a cattle farm in Madison County. Police say it was used to discipline a 7-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy.
Only thing we did when we ground them, we took the toys, the movies, and a TV and a DVD player from them.
She says her kids were taken away and she plans to fight to get them and her boyfriend back home.
I'm not going to choose between every one of them. I love them all 3. And I don't believe in my heart he would do that.
Social workers spotted an injury on the leg of one of the children. Carol insists she never saw any bruises on her kids or heard them complain about being abused.
But I love my kids and I love him with all my heart. And I'm not going to give up on my kids and him.
In Richmond, Sam Smith, WKYT.
The children's mother says she's going to court in 2 weeks to try and get those children back.
A state senator charged with DUI has lost his driver's license, at least for now. A Franklin County judge took it away during an arraignment for Senator Brandon Smith this morning. Police arrested him on the first day of the legislative session. Victor Puente tells us why the judge decided Senator Smith shouldn't be driving.
A Franklin County jury could be hearing the case of a state senator charged with DUI. His attorney says they're confident if they go to trial, they'll win.
We know the facts of the case, and we feel like that the evidence will certainly lead to an acquittal of him.
Brandon Smith's attorney says if he could have gone to trial today, he would have. Kentucky State Police stopped Smith in January. They say he was speeding. He was arrested and charged with DUI, first offense. Smith's license was revoked this morning because when he was arrested, he refused to submit to a breathalyzer test. But Johnson says he wasn't refusing. He was trying to contact his attorney, but ran out of time before the test had to be administered.
It says you've got 10 minutes and no more than 15 to find that lawyer, or you've refused the test. And that's what happened to him. He was trying to reach me.
Smith's arraignment was delayed until today because Johnson filed a motion asking for the charge to be thrown out because of a rule from 1891 that prevents legislators from being prosecuted. Smith asked for that motion to be withdrawn.
Quite frankly, I would have liked to have been arguing that today, but he felt like that he did not want to rely on that he felt you ought to go through the justice system, and that's what we're doing.
Johnson had asked for an accelerated trial date, but because of how busy the courts are here, that trial won't happen until sometime in April. In Frankfort, Victor Puente, WKYT.
The judge told Smith he would not have the privilege to drive until this case is resolved.
Lexington police have released some new details about their case against a man charged with murdering his girlfriend. Police say that Paris Charles killed Goldie Massey last fall. They say Massey's remains were found in the Kentucky River after her son reported her missing. During a hearing today, a detective testified that police found large amounts of Massey's blood in Charles' home. They also say on the day she was last seen, Charles claimed the two went to a bar together before he dropped her off at her former home. A judge has sent the case on to a grand jury. A man who admitted killing a Lexington teenager will not have to pay restitution. As part of his sentence for manslaughter, a judge had ordered Ernest Wheeler to pay Patrick Puckett's family $16,000 for funeral expenses. Police say Wheeler shot Puckett at a Lexington home in 2013. But the defense claims restitution was not part of the original plea deal. Today, prosecutors withdrew their restitution claim. They say Wheeler threatened to change his guilty plea and stand trial if he had to pay up. Wheeler's defense attorney says neither her client or Puckett's family wanted a trial.
It's already going to haunt him for the rest of his life. This was an extremely tragic event, but to have that additional burden, I think, would have made him reconsider and want to go to trial and see if he could get out of prison quicker.
Wheeler is serving a 12-year prison sentence for manslaughter.
Experts say there are about 1,000 drug overdose deaths every year in Kentucky. The U.S. Attorney's Office is trying to change that by putting more drug dealers in jail. So they're asking coroners for help. But as investigative reporter Miranda Combs tells us, many coroners say there's a problem with what prosecutors want them to do.
It's hard to look at. It's so hard.
She only pulled these pictures out because we were coming.
I like it when it's put away. But then I feel guilty and then I bring it out. It tears me down because I know he's in there and he's not going to come back.
He was 28, Rosemary Baum's only child.
It's a darkness. A cloud just doesn't go away. Really, it don't.
In April of 2013, Johnny Mac Baum died of a heroin overdose. Federal prosecutors were able to get a 20-year enhanced prison sentence for the drug dealer. It's not a murder charge, but federal drug trafficking laws allow prosecutors to pursue a sentence of 20 years to life when a victim, as far as federal prosecutor Jason Parman is concerned, dies from the drugs given by a dealer.
It's a game changer when you're starting at 20 years and moving up from there.
We want them to know that when they're out peddling this poison, there's a very strong likelihood that if one of their victims happens to die, that they're going to spend the rest of their life in a federal prison.
Recently, U.S. Attorney Kerry Harvey and his prosecutors have put multiple drug dealers behind prison bars for overdose deaths, having to prove that the drug distributed by a dealer caused the death.
If we're going to try to deter those folks from making the decision to distribute a drug that's going to kill people around them, they need to know that there's a severe punitive repercussion at the end of the line.
But that line, federal prosecutors say, needs to start with a crime scene.
In fact, a lot of times it's treated more as an accident scene, and so we lose a lot of evidence really in the first couple of hours after the death.
And when overdoses are treated as accidents, most are not autopsied.
We're always behind the 8 ball, if you will, if we don't have an autopsy.
Conventional wisdom has been that you simply can't go forward and you can't win one of these cases without an autopsy.
But it does happen, and in fact, Parman and his team recently convicted a Clay County man for causing an overdose death and sent the dealer to prison without an autopsy. But that's not an ideal situation.
The purpose of an autopsy is to find the cause of death.
I spoke to the coroners in both Clark and Scott counties. Scott County says they have about 1 overdose death every month. Clark County had 9 last year. They say they always treat overdose deaths as crime scenes, but as for the need for autopsies, well, they say it depends.
My thought is you don't need an autopsy on all overdose deaths.
Scott County Coroner John Goebel and Clark County Coroner Robert Gayhart believe in most cases a toxicology report is enough evidence to prove a cause of death.
Why do that to a body? Why do an autopsy to a body when you know the heroin killed them?
I mean, I understand, prosecutors want everything they can get, and there's nobody that wants traffickers off the street any more than the 2 guys you're sitting here talking to. Because, I mean, we see the effects of it. We meet with the families. We see the kids are left without parents, and the parents is left without children.
Well, everybody just loved him. Yeah, he was definitely loved.
Rosemary's son was autopsied, a big help for prosecutors in the case against his dealer, and a small victory for his mother, now without a son.
Parman does say they are working on educating first responders on the importance of treating overdoses as crime scenes and doing autopsies. He says they've been working with law enforcement and talking to coroners associations. Guys.
So what has been this reception from these coroners that they've talked with?
Parman says very positive, and that the coroners are happy to move into a direction where they're going to be able to start solving a lot more of these cases. So.
A lot more people working together. Miranda,
thanks, Miranda. Sure. A Lexington police officer has received an honor for helping another police department. Georgetown Police recognized Lexington officer Roman Pachowski during a Georgetown City Council meeting. Last month, police say Officer Pachowski was off duty at the Kohl's in Georgetown when he saw a Georgetown police officer struggling with a combative suspect. They say when the suspect ran off, the officer chased him down and held him until additional Georgetown police officers arrived.
They say they're standing up for Kentucky's mountains. Next, the message of hundreds of people who marched to the state capitol today.
And later in sports, Coach Cal says he's told Andrew Harrison to motivate him during the LSU game.
Lexington Overstock Warehouse. One warehouse, 4 days. Over 35,000 square feet of President's Day savings. Designer sofa by Ashley, only $397. 6-piece dining set, only $598. Don't miss our huge President's Day warehouse sale. LexingtonOverstockWarehouse.com.
Hi, Andrea. I'm from Coit. Show us your dirt.
Oh, be glad to. Look, spots, 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 spots. I don't even know what this is.
Right now, save 40% on all Coit services.
Coit has made it sparkle like new.
Call 1-800-4COIT today and save 40%.
When we stopped selling the cheeseburger pizza, boy, did I hear about it. And Big Bill 7 writes, "Are you kidding me? No more cheeseburgers on a pizza? Are you kidding me?" They're back, Big Bill, with bacon.
Are you kidding me?
Introducing the new Bacon Cheeseburger Pizza. Get a large for $12. And add our new double chocolate chip brownie for only $6 more.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
It's good.
The all-new Piles Chevrolet Buick is open for your business and for your inspection. Piles is ready to serve you moving forward from a grand new facility. This incredible new dealership features a stunning showroom, state-of-the-art service department, and luxurious customer lounge. Plus, acres of new and used inventory. Same legendary Piles service before, during, and after the sale. Drop by and see the all-new Piles Chevrolet, exit 159 Dry Ridge behind Walmart.
Getting more for your money is simpler than you might think. When you shop at Kroger, you get low prices throughout the store, weekly specials, great value from our quality brands, digital coupons, and even fuel points to help you save at the pump. No spin, just savings.
Bring home fresh Purdue boneless chicken breasts for just $2.49 a pound. And 3-pound bags of California seedless mandarins are only $3.99 at Kroger.
He's the successful businessman, conservative, and man of faith. He's Hal Heiner, the Frankfurt outsider who has a plan to get Kentucky working again.
It's times like this, Obama and liberals in Washington want to regulate right out of business, killing Kentucky jobs. They don't have the slightest clue. As governor, I'll fight mandates like Obamacare, Common Core, and the war on coal. It's time to put career politicians last and Kentucky families first.
It's the big President's Day sale at the big Toyota store. Through Monday only at Toyota on Nicholasville. Get 0% financing on every new 2015 Camry. Or get 0% on Siennas, Corollas, RAV4s, and Prius hybrids. Save up to $7,000 off. Or receive a $250 gas card included with your new Toyota. Get the lower President's Day price at the big Toyota store.
Toyota on Nicholasville, where price sells cars.
Toyota on Nicholasville.com.
Hi, Marianne.
Hello.
We're looking for dirty air ducts.
This absolutely has to be cleaned.
Right now, save 40% on all Coit services.
I cannot believe that there was that much dust and dirt.
Call 1-800-4COIT today and save 40%.
Follow WKYT online at WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Hundreds of people gathered in Frankfurt today in support of the mountains of eastern Kentucky.
The annual I Love Mountains March and rally were held today around the state capitol. Those at the rally say they came together to build a diverse and healthy economy in Appalachia. They're also pushing for alternative energy sources, which they say will help protect the mountains for years to come.
It's a chance for all of us to get together, that we can discuss the situations in our hometowns and that we can share our stories and our victories and work together to make the changes that are necessary to move forward.
This was the 10th year for the I Love Mountains rally. It's sponsored by Kentuckians for the Commonwealth.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey and First Alert Defender.
Old man winter coming back into the Bluegrass State today, kind of smacking us around a little bit. Snow showers, squalls, gusty winds, 30 miles per hour at times, creating those wind chills down into the single digits. Where do we go from here? It's called the Daily Breakdown, and we break it down as we take a look ahead. Frigid night ahead of us into tomorrow morning. Valentine's Day is going to produce a day that is going to be similar to today, although colder, windier, and a little more in the way of some snow. Watching next week as well, a couple of systems going to try to bring snows to the Bluegrass State. Wind chills, let's concentrate on the present. If you're heading out and about right now, plan on single-digit wind chills at times, so that means to really bundle up. Winter weather advisory for snow still into eastern Kentucky, though those snow bands are beginning to dissipate somewhat. South of the Hal Rogers Parkway, still some gusty snow showers and squalls from Jackson and Breathitt County into Hindman, Knott County. The farther north we get toward Interstate 64, Moorhead into Bath County, Montgomery County, starting to see that lighten up a little bit. Still some snow showers here into Madison County as well. I know Berea had a couple of bursts of snow earlier this morning, putting down some light accumulations. Richmond, we missed out on that. Here's our cam along Interstate 75, northern parts of Madison County. That little snow band is now south and right on top of the city with at least some flurries, if not a covering of snow in a few cases. Just slow down, take it easy out there. Not a whole lot of water content associated with the flakes, so they're just going to kind of fly around out there, even the flakes that are accumulating. Temperatures over the next 24 hours. It's going to feel even colder
than what your thermometer shows tomorrow morning. You're going to wake up 10, 12, 13 degrees. Maybe out in the open countryside, we could come in 8 or 9 degrees tomorrow afternoon, though. Mix of sun and clouds. I don't think we're ever going to completely clear the skies out tomorrow. Upper 20s. Winter weather breakdown. Here we go. Let's get into your weekend. Another Arctic front arrives on Saturday. That will have snow squalls, gusty winds, 30, 35, maybe approaching 40 miles per hour. As Cupid flies around out there, he's going to have trouble with that kind of wind. And watch the roads Saturday afternoon and evening as temperatures really drop. Single digits by Sunday morning. Look at the wind chill. We could be close to 10 below zero. Monday, actually Sunday night into Monday, snow system is going to try to move in with some accumulations. That will be a possibility. Hey, I mentioned to watch the wind chill this weekend. Let's take you into that weekend, starting things out Saturday morning. Things aren't too bad Saturday morning. Saturday evening, it's a different story. We're dropping below zero with the wind chills. The deeper we get into Saturday night and Sunday morning, hey, the colder it is going to get with wind chills that could be 10 to 15 below zero. That is behind that Arctic front. Watch your timeline. That surges in here with a band of snows that will blow around Saturday afternoon and evening. And from there, we watch a couple of systems. That first one going to try to throw some snow at us Sunday night into Monday. So all of a sudden, old man winter kind of kicking it up into high gear. 26 on Saturday. We may hit 30 in the morning, dropping it 20 degrees in a matter of a couple hours late in the day. Teens for highs on Sunday. Keep an eye on Sunday night, Monday, then again Tuesday into early Wednesday with a couple of chances for accumulating snows during that time. So if you're making those Valentine's Day plans right now, the earlier in the day, the better off we're going to be. How about maybe Valentine's Day lunch instead of
brunch?
Dinner? Breakfast? Huh?
I like it.
Midnight snack on Friday? Let's just keep going back in reverse.
I like it. Thanks, Chris.
All right, guys.
The UK women's team facing a tough test tonight, Rob.
Mississippi State comes in here with a record of 23-3. Matthew Mitchell on the kind of play he's been getting from Michaela Epps. He's going to need more of it tonight. And Carl Towns wasn't the only guy John Calipari got after at LSU. That's next in sports on WKYT.
Join Lexington Athletic Club now and get 3 months free.
Come into Captain D's for a variety of fresh-made seafood meals, like our 12-piece butterfly shrimp or Southern-style whitefish. Also try our new crab bites and our fish and crab bites meal. For full meals at just $4.99, it's gotta be D's.
No powdered wigs. No singing presidents. Instead, we have something you can use. Cold, hard cash savings. Now, during the Toyota President's Day sales event, get the bold new Camry with 0% financing plus $500 bonus cash. Or get the lowest lease ever on this Camry for just $189 a month with $16.99 due at signing. Hurry. Cold, hard cash savings ends February 16th. Toyota. Let's go places.
This Valentine's Day,
shop the Castle.
The Castle is the biggest discounter of designer engagement rings, fine jewelry, and pre-owned Rolex watches. This Valentine's Day, shop the Castle.
If you want to save on new furniture, the time to act is now during Furniture World Superstore's historic President's Day sale. Shop a wide array of beautiful furniture worthy of the White House and your house too. Don't miss your chance to shop important savings like buy one, get one free recliners, just $5.99. Buy a reclining sofa for only $7.99. Get the recliner free. Sleep better and save on a Restonic queen size mattress and get the box spring free. Plus, it's interest free till 2017 during the President's Day sale at all Furniture World Superstore locations.
At Baptist Health, we want you to know the facts. Visit BaptistHealthTalks.com to view a video as neurologist James Winkley provides hope for managing multiple sclerosis. Baptist Health Lexington. Be a healthier you.
Here in Kentucky, Anheuser-Busch is part of our community. They've created hundreds of jobs and invested in our universities and working families. But now, greedy special interests are trying to run Anheuser-Busch out of the state, seeking to force them to close a business they've owned for nearly 40 years. Business groups and labor organizations agree House Bill 168 is bad policy that could put 200 good jobs at risk. Tell your legislator to vote no on HB 168. It's a job killer.
Many men have led this country since 1947, and in Lexington, one auto dealer has been there to celebrate them all, Glenn. Celebrate numbers 1 to 44 during Glenn's President's Day celebration all month long. We're celebrating with new Sentras or Versa Notes, your choice $149 a month, or Altimos or Rogues $189 a month. Come celebrate President's Day all month at Glenn Nissan. Glenn, Lexington's most trusted since 1947.
Find it all at GlenAutomall.com.
Get WKYT news and weather updates on 104.5 The Cat.
Come into Captain D's for a variety of fresh-made seafood meals, like our 12-piece butterfly shrimp or Southern-style whitefish. Also try our new crab bites and our fish and crab bites meal. For full meals at just $4.99, it's gotta be D's.
John Calipari constantly pushing his players to be their best, and he was certainly doing it Tuesday night as the Cats battled LSU on the road. Cal didn't like what he saw from Andrew Harrison early on, so he got on him. He wanted Andrew to attack, and he responded. One of his best games. 13 points, 4 assists. He didn't turn the ball over, and he didn't miss a free throw.
I just said, you're not playing that way. I refuse to let you look that way. You will attack or you're coming out. And then you watched him, and he was as good as any guard in the country. The way he played today, the way he attacked. He can play that way, but I'm going to say this. It's really hard because you got to go, and you got to be on top, and you got to be alert, and you got to be in shape, and you got to... I'd rather do that for a couple minutes and then kind of jog, and then he was great.
Next up, South Carolina coming in Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock tip-off in Rupp Arena. The game will be on ESPN. Tonight at Memorial Coliseum, another tough matchup for the UK women as they host Mississippi State. Sophomore guard Michaela Epps coming into her own. She's tied for the SEC lead in league scoring at nearly 15 per game. Matthew Mitchell says the McDonald's All-American has the tools to be an elite player.
Michaela has unbelievable gifts. She's fast, she's explosive, she's quick, she can jump high, she's the strongest kid on our team. She has great court vision, all of these things that I can't teach her. And now she's starting to work hard.
And if you are not heading down to the Coliseum, you can catch all the action of this one on the SEC network tonight. Tip-off is set for 7. Finally, UK great Dan Issel is being immortalized on canvas. Atlanta-based artist Craig Drennan painting the piece at the UK Art Museum. The Issel painting is inspired by Shakespeare's play Timons of Athens and a character called the Poet. Brennan has spent the past 5 years painting various characters from the play.
I mean, there are other folks who I remember more clearly, like Kenny Walker. I remember watching him play like many times. And so certainly there are other players who I was maybe a little more familiar with, but I thought this was sort of a sweet spot because not only did it access, you know, the college game, but also the pro game when it existed in Kentucky.
Drennan is painting daily from noon to 5. He is expected to finish the piece by the weekend, and then it will be put up for auction. A lot of high school action tonight, including LCA and Lexington Catholic. We'll have all the highlights right here at 11. Stay with us.
Take your news to go with breaking news and updates on WKYT.com, the WKYT News app, and on your radio on 104.5 The Cat.
It's President's Day weekend at Green's Toyota of Lexington, and we're offering cold, hard cash to heat things up. Save up to $5,000 off MSRP on new Toyotas with our Green Saver coupon with 0% APR on 14 different models. And just announced, get $1,000 holiday bonus cash on the world-famous Camry built by our friends at TMMK. Hurry in to Kentucky's #1 Toyota dealer, Green's Toyota, for President's Day weekend savings.
Great people, great cars, think Greens.
One size does not fit all. Whether you're sick or need an annual wellness checkup, you need options when it comes to your health care. And that's exactly what you get from Kentucky One Health. More primary care options, so you can get in, get out, and get back to life. Visit ChooseYourDoor.org. Kentucky One Health. The one name in healthcare.
I always wanted to be the lawyer who represented the little guy, the underdog, the powerless, the voiceless, and to have a chance to even the playing field. What we all want in life is two things. We want purpose and peace. The great thing about the work I've done is I've woke up every day with a purpose. And because of the work I've done, I think I've had peace.
Where's the best place to buy a leather sectional?
A beautiful home begins at Burke.
Ooh, what about a recliner?
A beautiful home begins at Burke.
A motion sofa?
You know the deal.
A beautiful home begins at Burke.
I really love Burke Furniture. It's a great place to shop.
Burke's has the best selection on the best name brands in Lexington, like Braddington Young, Bernhardt, Southern Motion, and Broyhill, and prices that are even better. Plus, right now, interest-free financing is available.
A beautiful home begins at Burke's.
This may be the best double date ever. Papa Murphy's Heart Baker, just $8. Fresh made, fresh baked, fresh love. Papa Murphy's, love at 425 degrees.
Discover how thousands of people are fitting into old and new things. If you have 30 or more pounds to lose and your weight is affecting your health, see how the Lap-Band system can fit into your life. Lap-Band is not for those who are pregnant, have autoimmune or organ disease. Reoperation, band slippage, stomach injury, removal, and fatalities are rare. Other adverse events include vomiting and heartburn. The Lap-Band system. Find your moment that fits.
Didn't find what you were looking for at the Boat and RV Show? Check out our new line of Sunchaser pontoons. Purchase before March 1st and receive $1,000 off any in-stock boat, motor, and trailer package. Central Kentucky Boat and RV Sales, located off I-75, exit 95 north of Richmond.
Not really looking forward to venturing out into this tonight.
9-degree wind chill right now in Lexington. So,
enough said.
Enough said. You don't have to say anything
that's really
else.
all I got right now. My mouth's frozen already.
On that note, we'll see you at 11.